All right, well, I'm back. Been banging away on this thing a bunch and give you guys an update here, as well as I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on how to, notch pipe. I see some guys really just are killer at it, nail it every time, and other guys really struggle. So I'm going to show a couple of things that I've been doing to notch pipe with a really crappy Harbor Freight bender and get my angles pretty much spot on the first time. I can see it. That's probably the biggest thing that guys don't get when they're bending tube and then notching all the joints. They can't see the final product of what it's supposed to be. So you really got to get a good visual of it before you go ahead and start cutting, notching, coping, etc. So let me give you a walk around. I'll show you the update, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. By no means professional tube bender or professional tube notcher, but for really my first run at this in nearly 20 years, I think I'm doing pretty damn good. So here's what she looks like right now. Today, well, over the last couple days, I've added in the final little bits of tubing in the back end here. Got that all welded up. Rear end is of the cage, and the bed area, I'm gonna call it, is all tubed out and done. So that'll that'll all get plated in between this triangular area here. That's gonna get a plate. The other side's gonna get a plate. This area in these gaps here, the three spots, here, and here is all going to get plated in. And I'll probably end up, I shouldn't say I'm done, I'll probably end up adding one more tube here in the rear and plate the rear end as well, so we could just throw things in it, lightweight stuff that doesn't need to be strapped down. But I've got a winch on the floor over there. I've always wanted a rear winch, so I envision putting that on the back here behind my fuel tank somewhere. So I haven't quite capped this back end out because that's not going to stop me from wheeling it. That's something I can kind of play with once everything else is done. So I got the seats in the last video, the seat bars, and actually I think the last video might even be exhaust, but it's all kind of blurring together. But I got the exhaust all banged out, everything but the tip or the final tailpipe of the thing. I got to pick up some 3-inch, it's 2.5 inch from the headers back. I got it up above my sliders, which was like the legit goal on this whole project, was to get it over the sliders and then under the floor. So it's going to get kind of a weird floor in this thing. Across the seat bars here, this area from, that's still hot, from this tube to this tube, that's going to get a flat plate running across it. And then from this tube here to this tube here is going to get a plate running across it. That's going to end up with a little bit of a bend to clear my seat brackets probably, and clear the exhaust, actually my seat sliders. So that'll need a little massaging, and then I'm gonna plate the floor of the bed area. All that's gonna be done on a hard, I think that's like a hard plate aluminum. It was a scuff plate from Semi Trailers. We got a bunch of it years ago. It was all stained and damaged, so we got it from a secondary supplier type kind of thing at my work. So it was cheap, and that's going to become the main floor. And then from the seat bar forward, this is going to end up with kind of it's going to come across from this bar here, across, turn down, and hit the frame. I haven't quite decided how I want to do that yet, but that's all going to get boxed to the outboard side of the chassis, so it'll hopefully not conduct too much heat up into the cab through the floor. If it does, I'll header wrap it and just go from there. Now, lots of joints, joints on top of joints. And I've been watching some guys really struggle to do this kind of stuff. So what I've had this entire time is random scraps. You know, this is like the drop off of an end of a piece of tube. All right, so 20-foot plus sticks, you end up with some of these drop offs, and you just leave them to play with until you need a tiny little piece. So this is a joint that I'm seeing a lot of guys on the YouTube world struggle with a bunch. So if you look at this B pillar is 25 degrees roughly. Throw an angle finder on it right now, it comes out to 24. So something's moved a degree. But so that guy there, get reached out, B pillar, 25 degrees. This tube here that I just put in, that's going to become the lower portion of this side cavity that gets plated in. You're joining not at a 90, not at a 45, not at an easy angle. So you got 25 degrees here, and then you got to figure out what this degree is going up to there. So these little dudes, Klein tool, angle finder, I got a lot of, let's get that polished up a little bit, weld spatter and stuff on them. So air, you gotta stand it up straighter. If you lay these back, they air out if you get too far off. So air, I don't know what that degree is, but so now put that guy on there. It says 65 degrees. Oh, this time it says 65. So what that means is that is 25 degrees from, we'll use the construction term, plumb. So perfect 90 would be there. Oh, just went to the other side. So 65, 64.8 minus 90 is 25 degrees. All right, so then you set that on there. That's at 6 degrees. I think I used 7 degrees in my math. So you need to notch this first angle at 32, 33 degrees, somewhere in there. And to do that, what I've been doing is I'll take this piece of tube and I'll hold it up there. This side I haven't done yet. I'll hold it up there, and then I'll come to this side and kind of eyeball it. And you eyeball it 6, 7 degrees, somewhere in there. So I know that this side here, again, oh, that side's not magnetic. 3 out of 4 sides of this thing are magnetic. And you're at 65. Now you actually lean, because this is where I got the 24. So if this bar was coming straight out at a 90, I would use the angle off of this at a 90. But because it's coming in off of that bar at an angle, you have to use a different location on the tube. So you see now I've taken this angle finder and I've rotated it, and that angle finder is pointed where it's going to go. So now you might look at this and go, okay, well that's 25, 26 degrees, or well, excuse me, 65 degrees. And as we rotate that in, now I'm 67, almost 67 degrees. You think 2 degrees doesn't mean a lot, but 2 degrees, when you're eyeballing it, does mean a lot. And in this case, this C-pillar is not leaned in much. Overall, this C-pillar is only leaned in about 1.5 degrees, give or take. And if this C-pillar had a significant lean in, like I'm coming up here higher up that C-pillar after I've put this bend in it, Now I'm at 5 degrees, and as you rotate there, I'm at that 65 again, 64 and change. As you come around it, yeah, you would pick up more degrees the further in you go, because you're starting to pick up the compound angle of what that tubing's starting to do. So watch for that when you're mocking up tubing. And then when you have these little chunks, one of the things that I've been doing, so you got this chunk, it's 18, 20 inches long, whatever. You're going to use like a 12-inch piece or a 16-inch piece. I'll take this guy, I'll set it up there, eyeball it that way, get all my dimensions, my estimated angle at this joint right here, and I'll go over and I'll just notch the end of it and just hammer the hole saw through it. I don't spend any time deburring it. And then I'll just, like, this one's a multi-joint, so I got to figure out this exactly here, and then I also got to figure out where this is going to land as well. So I'll just set that tube to play with the angle. Once I have it notched, I'll just put that tube up there, and then, all right, if I'm 2 or 3 inches high here, I should be 2 or 3 inches high over here, and that notch looks and feels good. Now I know that when I slide that down and cope out for this piece, that I'll actually be onto something. So, and I'm also then not playing with the piece that I've cut, because I've got to cut a piece that's 27.5 inches long to accomplish this and get it to land where I want it to from the other side. And if you booger up that notch after you've already cut your main length of tube, now your tube's too short. So play with the scraps. I got a lot of little scraps from doing it, little chunks like that. It's easy enough to do and play with. So that's what I'd recommend. I've been watching a couple other guys, like I say, playing, building their own cages, first timers, guys like me, home garage guys, and they're cutting to length, and then they're trying to dial their angle in once they're cut to length, and that's just poses issues. So give that a whirl. If you haven't ruined any tubing yet in your shop on your cage project, you will. And that way, take those wrecked short pieces that you've already made and start utilizing those for the test copes, test notches, whatever you want to call them. And sooner or later, that piece is going to end up so short you can't do anything with it. Well, then you take that piece and you turn it into a little seat strut or something like that, which is where like these little pieces end up. I'm gonna need other little pieces. Like, I think I'm gonna do another one here to here. This is literally 3 fingers. So just to put in a little gusset there. I don't think it needs it, but I might put one there because it's gonna help me with the floor. So try something like that. Give that a run for its money while you're messing around with tubing and cages, things like that. And hopefully that helps you. So do something cool. I'm going to keep banging away on this thing and hope to get it next time I see it. We'll be putting the floors in it. Thanks for watching as always. Like, share, subscribe, and I don't know, tell your friends. Hopefully this helps.